So we'll shift now to the very important things happening in Iran. It's kind of a big deal that they're starting another war, especially with such an important country like Iran. Central on the grand chessboard, as Zbigniew Brzezinski called it. I know Alex covered this last night, but it's good to point out again that the former Israeli defense official told the New York Times there's a covert war on Iran. It's a prudent strategy, and indeed there is a covert war. There's been all kinds of blowing up of facilities, targeting officials and scientists and all the rest of it. So many things going on, trying to foment a phony velvet-style green movement revolution there, and anything else they could do to surround the country and undermine it. You notice the whole Arab Spring thing is really part of the build-up to World War III. You can't get to Iran until you bring down Syria and Libya and kind of rebrand Egypt and Tunisia and some of those other smaller countries, and just to keep things chaotic and not too settled in when they move in for the big kill. Kind of a big deal. So they've killed here the nuclear scientist Mustafa Ahmadi Roshan, even as really the truth is the U.S. funded Iran's nuclear program. And even if they did have a bomb, which they don't, it's no reason to scurry off to war. But, you know, I know the viewers out there from this program understand what's going on. It's just frustrating that they continue to brand this false reality, and we're all supposed to go along with it. Meanwhile, RIA Novosti, the Russian outfit, reports that the U.S. is building hospitals in Georgia readied for war with Iran. There are 20-bed hospitals. It's an American project. A big war between the U.S. and Iran is beginning in the Persian Gulf. $5 billion was allocated for the construction of these 20-bed military hospitals. Javeldi said in an interview with the Georgian paper Kerviveris Kronadi, some of those names I didn't pronounce right, I know. But the point is they're starting supposedly American military towns from scratch in Georgia. Saakashvili is leading the project, all so they could attack Iran and kind of bolster towards Russia and China as well. Hopefully not towards World War III, but we all know that's on the table here. Meanwhile, the Iranian president is touring South America, most recently arriving in Cuba. U.S. warns of a dangerous alliance. They've also tried to claim that he visited Venezuela so he can launch long-range missiles from there towards the United States. All kinds of saber-rattling and provoking for this war. Now, will this war with Iran happen? We certainly hope not. But for a closer look on it, we have a report now with Darren McBreen.
War in the Middle East now appears imminent as the United States, Britain, the European Union, and Israel put the final touches on an embargo on Iran, and warships are sailing to the Persian Gulf.
Last Friday, the U.S. and Israel announced that they will have a massive exercise in the Persian Gulf. It will include thousands of U.S. and Israeli soldiers and will test multiple air defense systems against incoming missiles and rockets. Meanwhile, Iran will also be conducting war games in the Persian Gulf and have already launched a military maneuver near its border with Afghanistan.
Now, there's a lot of war games going on in the Persian Gulf. The United States, Israel are participating in a massive war game. Iran at the same time. Could that be a recipe for disaster?
I think there's a lot of war games that go on all the time of different sizes. I don't know if this is much different.
I don't know if disaster is the word, but I think you're not in a good situation right now.
Should we intervene for Israel? Don't you think Israel has a capability of protecting themselves?
I definitely think there's a case to defend Israel for what it is. Might not be the strongest case, but should we invade Iran for Israel? No, I think that's a weaker case.
I feel like Israel can take care of themselves, but it doesn't hurt to have somebody backing you up.
Well, it's not about weapons of mass destruction and nuclear bomb. It's all about natural gas and oil. Iraq have the oil and Iran have the natural gas, and that's what America wants, and we all know that. But the media is liars, and they tell us all lies, and we just got to go with the lies because they have the power to spread the lies.
Presidential candidate Ron Paul said the increasingly severe sanctions imposed on Iran in response to its alleged nuclear weapons program are steps that will eventually lead to war.
The first thing you do when you go to war, you put boycotts on and you blockade a country. It is, in many ways, an act of war.
We assume that we have to do it through force, through sanctions and threats and intimidation and secret maneuvers to overthrow their regime. It just doesn't work.
I think we're punishing them. I think it's retributive, definitely. Whether or not it's with the aim of pushing them into open war with us, I don't know.
I feel like if you're just pressing somebody, you're only going to push them more the other direction anyway.
I think that the U.S. has been provoking a lot of people for a long time.
I just think sometimes the United States needs to worry about the United States.
You know, it's really not that many differences between us and them if you really think hard about it.
The people, or would that be the government?
No, the people. I'm talking about the ordinary Iranians are very different from the image that we have of the Iranian government.
Well, what do you think is going to happen to oil prices if there is a conflict?
Well, definitely the oil price is going to go up because everyone's going to hold on to the oil. The Middle East have the most oil, as we know, as a fact.
Do you think our economy could take it?
Not right now. The economy is falling, the dollar is dying, everything is, going deteriorating, and there's no solution right now.
I mean, I feel like any major conflicts in the world right now are going to keep impacting the declining economy.
Are you concerned that something bad's going to happen out there?
Not I am. We all should be concerned. The whole world should be concerned because it's not about us, it's about the whole world.
Now, President Obama is prepared to use military force to prevent Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapon. And that's if sanctions and so-called diplomacy fail. I'm Darren McBreen for Infowars Nightly News.
And that is another great report from Darren McBreen, but I'm glad one of those persons pointed out that the people are not the same as the government. Certainly, all these governments are bad. And don't forget how much the globalists have already put Iran through, from the 1953 coup to all the stuff with the Iranian hostage deal in '79. Then you have the war between Iraq and Iran, where more than 1 million people were killed. With Rumsfeld and other top U.S. globalists fomenting that as well. It's just sad what happens. In other news, cop killing in Arizona connected to Fast and Furious, ask the Examiner.com. They've got Maricopa County, where the very controversial Joe Arpaio is sheriff, and one of his deputies was killed in a strip mall, suddenly shot from a perpetrator who came out of nowhere and has not been identified. Meanwhile, the story is potentially nationally significant because there's talk that the gun used to kill the deputy may be another Fast and Furious weapon the Obama administration officials placed in the hands of Mexican drug gangs. Of course, DOJ is hoping that that scandal will not blow open again, but certainly they have their bloody fingerprints all over it. And really, it almost looks like a Godfather-style gang war against people like Arpaio. Love him or hate him, he is fighting against the drug cartels down there and simultaneously against what the Obama administration is doing in that capacity. And it's kind of like they shot Sonny on the causeway with one of his deputies there. Don't need any more loss of life there. They should probably just decriminalize. Meanwhile, a justice memo argues that Obama's recess appointments were illegal. Of course, they have arguments for anything. The Office of Legal Counsel concluded the president has the authority to make recess appointments during a recess, and that Congress can only prevent the president from making such appointments by remaining continuously in session and available to receive and act on nominations. Then you have people like Senator Chuck Grassley saying it's clearly unconstitutional. But why not? I mean, this president doesn't have time for the Constitution. He has time for a celebrity meeting with Johnny Depp and the maker of the Alice in Wonderland film. And now he also has time for Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. I promised you a big star-studded lineup. President Obama is schmoozing with the stars again, this time as Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie pop over to the White House. You maybe didn't notice Angelina Jolie there since she was just another CFR advisor, Council on Foreign Relations member, giving advice or asking Obama to address something or another concerning, human rights, I think. Yeah, that's what they're concerned about, human rights. Yeah. How's that working out? Newt Gingrich denies Bohemian Grove existence. Some people have fantasy lives. More of scripting this false reality and telling anyone who says the truth to shut up and go away and not be in front of the corporate TV cameras. Luke Rudkowski has confronted so many of these globalists. He also just previously confronted Mitt Romney, the so-called anointed GOP leader. But now we have footage from his confrontation with Newt Gingrich, who's been asked repeatedly about his connection to Bohemian Grove, which he did attend but denies. Let's go to that clip.
consider yourself a Catholic, but what happens when you worship Moloch at the Bohemian Grove? New York Post says that male prostitutes are shipped into the Bohemian Grove. Can you tell us what happens there?
You actually believe all this junk?
Bill Clinton said that Republicans run around naked in the woods there.
Did you say the Bohemian Club? Yeah. That's where all those rich Republicans go up and stand naked against redwood trees, right? I've never been to the Bohemian Club, but you ought to go. It'd be good for you. Get some fresh air.
And you don't want to know what Richard Nixon said about the place.
The Bohemian Grove that I attend, one time to time, the Easterners and the others that come there, but it is the most faggy goddamn thing you will could ever imagine in San Francisco crowd, because it's just terrible. I mean, I never want to shake hands with anybody in San Francisco.
That's the place you attended. It's a secret society. Can you tell us at least who invited you?
You know, it's nice to know that there's some people who have fantasy lives that have nothing to touch with. Nice to have you here. Bye-bye.
You can't answer the question? You can't? Can you answer the question?
See you later.
Fantasy lives. It doesn't matter that the elite meet in secret at their power-hungry, power-grabbing, you know, smoky room meetings, including the Bohemian Grove. It's fantasy. Now, it's not fantasy because Alex Jones, this office, has done so much research on the Bohemian Grove, as have others in the alternative press. Let's look at actual photos from the annals of the Bohemian Grove with some of Newt Gingrich's fantasy life. There's photos of different people attending the cremation of care ceremony. This is from 1990, published date. Oh, and there you have Jimmy Carter, some other bigwigs. Jack Kemp used to be a VP candidate, the Bush father and son team, and Newt Gingrich. Fantasy life at the Bohemian Grove, which he knowingly attended but refuses to speak about because they don't want the little people to know. Some more photos, including Nixon, all from that publication, and Walter Cronkite, too, reportedly the voice of the owl. Newt, my so-called fantasy grove life. That's funny there. Anyway, thanks for dealing with me tonight. I am besieged with allergies and sneezing and all that, but that's not going to keep me from the news when my name gets called up. I also want to mention, before we go to our quote of the night and then back from break, a noble lie on the Oklahoma City bombing. Not only do we carry it at Infowars, and we need your support, it's one of the best documentaries I've seen. It's so well put together, and I know the crew that made it there in Oklahoma had so many ups and downs. It really is difficult to produce a well-made movie, but this one is so well put together. So many clips a lot of people have never seen. Shed a whole new light on it for me. I think it will for you too. It was so popular it sold out within days. Now they are back in stock at Infowars.com. So don't forget that and many other products we have at the Infowars.com store. Finally, before we go to break and come back with Paul Joseph Watson on Iran, we have a quote from JFK. Let's go to that now. And this quote from the Secret Society speech he gave some 10 days before he was assassinated: "The high office of the president has been used to foment a plot to destroy the Americans' freedom. And before I leave office, I must inform the citizen of this plight." John F. Kennedy. And we are going to break now, and we're going to show you the clip where Alex interviews an autistic child and his father. Just more of the terrible things that are being done to us under the covers, beneath the false reality where nothing's going on and vaccines don't do anything, even when they put in the live cancer viruses. So enjoy.